Hey everybody, back again to read more chapters of Marshfield Dreams. All right, so we are, just so you know, we're on page 95 and we are about halfway through with the book, maybe just a little bit more. So this chapter that I'm going to read to you is called The Sound in the Wall, age 11, and the picture is of Johnny and Joey meeting Santa Claus. My friend Jimmy Dean invited me to his birthday party. I'd never been to his house before. Marshfield was a historic place with lots of old houses, and Jimmy Dean lived in one of the oldest houses in town, built in the early 1700s, according to Mom. Come in, somebody yelled when I rang the doorbell. I stepped inside and walked down a short hallway into the kitchen. Two big girls stood there staring at me. They looked like high school kids. Where's Jimmy? I asked. We're his sisters, one girl said. What's your name? Ralph. Don't worry, he'll be right down, Ralphie, the other girl replied. She looked at the present I'd brought. Just stick that on the bench. The girls stood beside a table with a big pile of raw hamburger meat on it. They were using their hands to form the red meat into flat patties and lining up the uncooked burgers on wax paper. I think he's kind of cute, the taller girl said. She stared at me and smiled. When I didn't smile back, the other one laughed. Don't look so serious. She picked up a small ball of uncooked meat, sprinkled salt on it, and popped it in her mouth. I nearly gagged. It's good raw, she told me. You ought to try some. Where's Jimmy? I asked again. Don't worry, he's coming. Hey, one girl said, glancing slyly at her sister. I'll show Ralphie the wall. Come on, kiddo, this is something you don't want to miss. She rinsed off her hands and walked into a small room next to the kitchen. I hesitated for a few seconds before following her. The girl brought me over to a wall and pushed my head so my ear was flush against it. Hear anything? I shook my head. She leaned against me, pressing my ear tighter to the wall. I smelled raw hamburger, but also the salty scent of her skin. She whispered into my ear, It helps if you close your eyes. I tried that, and suddenly I did hear it, a low sound, steady yet ragged, almost like a cat's purr, but wilder, more insistent. What is it? Bees, she murmured, a giant beehive. They've taken over the whole wall. You like honey, don't you, honey? She was teasing me, but I didn't care. I was hypnotized by that sound and the way it felt to have her pressing against me. You should get an exterminator, I said. But we don't want to, she hissed softly. We like our bees. I stood there, transfixed, unable to move, caught between her body and the sound of those bees. There must have been thousands of them, maybe millions. They sounded awfully hungry. Go on, she whispered. Take a really good listen. She leaned against me a little harder, and the buzzing grew louder. It seemed to spread from the wall to my ear, to the side of my face, down my neck. The feeling moved through me until it felt like the wall, the girl, and I were all buzzing together. Fletch! It was Jimmy Dean staring at me. What are you doing? The bees, I told him, pointing to the wall. Jimmy gave his big sister an annoyed look. Come on, we're going to play war, he yelled. He raced out of the room, with me following close behind. It felt good to be moving at full speed, past the grinning girls, past the pile of uncooked hamburger meat on the table, through the back screen door, until we burst together into the blinding sunlight like a couple of bees released from a jar. Okay, the next chapter is called War, and there's a picture of Jimmy and Ralph. We loved war. There were always enough kids to play around to play football or baseball or hide and seek or kick the can, and those games were fun. But good old war was the best game we played by far, and we went at it every chance we got. There were 10 kids at Jimmy Dean's birthday party, and we quickly divided into two armies. Then there was a frantic scramble as we each tried to find the right gun. A short gun-shaped stick made an excellent pistol. Longer sticks became rifles, and if there was a twig or a bump at the end, you had a telescope sight. It made a machine I made a machine gun out of a stick 2 feet long with a thicker piece at the base I could steady against my shoulder. Weapons mattered. Plenty of times I started a battle holding nothing but a skinny twig or funny-shaped board. There was nothing better than having the right gun. I always felt dangerous when I was fully armed, packing serious heat. War is simple. We hunted each other. All of us had seen enough movies and TV shows to know how to make war. We knew how to stay low, how to use trees and rocks for cover, how to crawl under bushes and clothes rip briars. When we got close enough to an exposed enemy soldier, we opened fire by sounding a single pow or a burst of machine gun fire. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, I screamed at Jimmy Dean. Got you. "You wish," he yelled back from behind a bush. "Hey, I smoked you. You're dead." "No way," I jumped back. "I killed you. You're gone." Nothing on earth was more thrilling than stealing close enough to get a clean shot at a real live enemy soldier. To be good at war, you had to know how to sneak, stalk, and shoot. But the most important thing was knowing how to die. Each of us died differently. When Steve got hit, he let out an ugh, grabbed his gut, and did a neat forward flip that sent him rolling over and over before he finally lay still. I admired that move a lot, and I tried to copy it. When someone shot Jimmy Dean, he dropped his gun and fell straight back, and often got shot, but most times he refused to die. Now he grabbed his right arm, face twisted in horrible pain. "Oh!" he screamed. "What's wrong?" Larry yelled. "I'm hit! Send reinforcements!" Andy screamed, his limb dangling uselessly. In the midst of a ferocious firefight, Larry rushed over, half dragging, half supporting Andy until Andy could scramble to safety. Suddenly, Jimmy jumped up and blasted Larry. Larry stopped and swayed for a second, hanging in the air, slack-jawed. Then he fell straight forward, allowing his face to mash into the dirt. For years I had studied Larry's technique. I tried it myself at home when nobody was around, falling forward in a pile of leaves, letting my body drop like dead weight. But no matter how many times I practiced or how hard I tried, some stubborn part of me, arm, leg, or knee, insisted on reaching out at the last minute to break my fall. I finally gave up and accepted the truth. I'd never be able to die like Larry. None of us could. I was moving along the side of the house when Steve Fishman jumped out in front of me. There was no place to hide. He fired at me point blank, and I jerked back 3 times like I'd been punched in the chest. My eyes took on a dazed look. My body went limp, and I fell, spinning to one side and rolling over 4 times. Then I lay without moving a muscle, continuously counting to 60. Finally, I sat up, grinning, knowing I died well. That moment reminded me of when I used to play statue with mom and dad when I was little. It always felt special when I turned from stone back into a boy. Playing war was like that too. I loved how it felt to wake up from being dead, dust off the dirt and leaves, and start the next round of the game.